We start this afternoon with breaking news in the effort to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Just days after President Trump met with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky at the NATO summit, a bipartisan group of senators says the Trump administration is on board with legislation to impose more sanctions on Russia. It's an effort to pressure Vladimir Putin to negotiate an end to this war, which started in 2022. Let's bring in CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small. Taurean, always great to see you. What kind of new sanctions would this impose on Russia?
Yeah, I think the top line that people will undoubtedly take away from this is that 500% tariff that would apply to any country's dealing business, especially as it relates to oil with Russia. That would specifically put places like China and India in the United States crosshairs. There's other sanctions, of course, that would target Russia specifically. And as this bill lays out, it's because they're punishing them for their invasion of Ukraine and consistent and continuing acts of aggressions against Ukraine. But I want to point out that this is pretty significant in another way. This is according to the conversations that have happened between Lindsey Graham, one of the sponsors of this bill, senator from Kentucky and or South Carolina, and the Trump administration. This is really the first time we're seeing Republicans come together and put forth in agreement with the president their own way to counter the acts of aggression from Russia. Since Trump's second term, Republicans have really allowed this long leash for the president to act, be it through diplomacy and direct conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin. But this could be an indication that those conversations or talks between Russian negotiators and U.S. negotiators haven't necessarily been too fruitful, which is why we're seeing that coming forth with this type of legislation.
And Taurean, what's the timeline and status of this legislation?
Yeah, so Senator Graham introduced this back in April of 2025. This has legs now because the president has seemingly gone along with this proposal. And it, according to the statement released by Graham and others, this is a bipartisan effort. It's likely that this would be a top agenda item once they return to Congress next week. Whether or not there will be a floor vote next week is still to be seen. But there's that statement there. They're saying that this legislation, working in tandem with the Trump administration to iron out these details, could lead to a quick pathway to passage for this bill. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Republican leader John Thune makes it a top legislative priority once they return from their recess next week.
Taurean Small, thanks so much.